10-footer is in. Big-time bucket from Dane Goodwin. Pump fakes, now he's going to drive down the lane, up to the rim, and lays it home. Great move by Leszewski. Feet ahead, Lubin catches, banks it in, and one. Over to Starling, 12 to shoot. Oh, he gets the corner. Dribbles towards the middle, crossover, step back, 25-footer is pure. Oh, Trey Wirtz. Now he picks up the dribble, over to Goodwin, back to Ryan. Oh, he wants another one. Give it to him! All day, baby! All night! Cormac Ryan is unconscious! He's got flames coming out of his hands! Welcome to this week's edition of the Mike Brey Show, presented by TireRack.com. I'm your host, Tony Simeone, joined as always by the head coach, Mike Brey. Coach, got a win to talk about this week. You went 1-1 down to NC State. Thought a pretty good performance, just came up a few plays short. You get the win at home against Louisville. It had to feel good to get one back under your belt.
And, you know, we played really well in Raleigh against a really good team in a great college basketball atmosphere. Couldn't quite finish, but it was nice to come back home and earn a league win, and hopefully we can create some momentum off of that.
Let's talk about the momentum a little bit. There's still a lot of season left. I think it's easy for a team to maybe pack in the tent and wave the white flag, but you were quick to point out in our postgame conversation, still got 9 games to go, a whole month. What's the focus going into the last 9 games?
I told the players after the game the other night, I'm watching the ticker, the NBA ticker, and it was rolling Friday night. It was saying, Utah Jazz, have won 7 after losing 8 in a row. Have won, so-and-so lost 10 in a row, it's now won 7. I said, fellas, I know the NBA season's really long. Ours is too. So let's see if we can ride this baby a little bit all the way to Greensboro.
Coach, appreciate it. We'll step aside and break down both games from the most recent week of Notre Dame men's basketball on the Mike Brey Show, presented by TireRack.com, right after this. Welcome back to the Mike Brey Show, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's game breakdown as we get a chance to look at both games from this past week. Let's start with NC State. You're going down to Raleigh, and at this point, Coach, your team had lost a few in a row. I imagine the vibes weren't great, but you're going into a hostile environment. What was the message to get them set for what you knew was going to be a tough game on the road?
What's neat about our group, I think our road vibe has been better than our home vibe, and that's because we've played in some great college basketball atmospheres. The NC State fan base is a basketball fan base, and they were there supporting a team that's really gifted and hot. And our guys were excited to compete, and we got off to a great start.
I was going to ask you about that start because you knew it was going to be tough. They are great fans there. It's a great place to play. 10-6 into the first media timeout. I just thought that was important to give you guys a sense. You hadn't been starting strong as of late. That had to give you a lot of belief. Even when they went on their run, you knew, okay, we can play with these guys.
Yeah, I think you get out of the gate, you feel better. I think we had 42 points at halftime. We scored 40. We were up at halftime. So you're going in at halftime like, hey, we're in a rhythm. We're feeling pretty good. And you feel you got a chance.
I'm always curious about some of the timeouts because right after it was 10-6, I think in the next media timeout or one of the next two, it was 25-14. They kind of come out and show you who they've been this year. How are you able to get that response? I think you wanted a 26-8 run after that. This team really showed a lot of resolve in that building.
Yeah, and when I've called timeouts when people have punched us like they did, our guys have responded pretty well at coming out of that thing. And we came right out. There was no panic. We played better defensively. We got better shots offensively. Venn got involved with us and Lubin and really was able to give us some stuff. So all of a sudden you're back in this thing and you make a run to finish the half and you're winning at halftime.
I thought Cormac Ryan also did a great job for you. He was 5 of 6 from 3, didn't touch rim except for one late in the game, of course, that hit the rim and kind of got a great bounce. But when he's playing well offensively, I know we talk a lot about his defense, but it just seems to me like when he's shooting the ball that way, it brings a totally new dynamic to your offensive side of the floor.
I've been impressed with his decisions with the ball. I think he's really improved in that area. You're right. He always fights defensively. But he's become more of a complete guard in the last 2 weeks.
Defensively, I thought you guys were really good. 85 points doesn't look that great, but 41% from the field is what you held them to. It's a really good offensive team. And you told me the other day that in the halftime locker room, you made some adjustments. What did you guys do? Because it looked different the way you were matching up, and I never felt like they got comfortable against you guys defensively.
Yeah, Coach Weiss did a great job. We kind of went back to a matchup zone that we were playing early in the season, and we taught initially. And he went through it again on the board. And, we have really sharp guys, and they carried that over to the second half. And then we played it a lot against Louisville, and I think it's something we've got to ride moving forward.
After a game like this, I'm curious what the message is to the team, because there were a lot of positives. Yeah. You mentioned the turnover margin maybe is the one thing that holds you back, but I just thought going into that environment, playing the way your team played, to me, there's a world in which that could give you the confidence you need going down the second half of the season. So what'd you tell them?
I went right in and I said, that's the vibe. The vibe felt different overall. How we prepared, how we interacted with each other. Now, on the road, when you know it's only you, it comes out a little bit more. And when we got here on the bus late 1 a.m., I said, now, here's my question, and think this through. No, you don't have to answer it now. Why is our road vibe better than our home vibe? I'm confused on it. Let's try and figure it out. I think our home vibe was better against Louisville, and we got 4 more games for a home vibe.
The home vibe was better against Louisville, and we'll talk about that game when we come back on the Mike Brey Show right after this. It's now time to break down the Louisville game. Coach, you guys got a win here at home. I want to start with something, though, that we've talked about after a lot of games, and that was the crowd. I thought the local South Bend crowd had plenty of reasons to stay home. Noon, cold weather, a Louisville team that hasn't played well this year. They showed up for it, and they've showed up a lot this year in similar situations. What'd you like about the crowd in this one?
I'm just so thrilled and so pleased at what our crowd has given us this year. It's not like we're undefeated at home. And I think they know we need them more. We're wounded a little bit, and we need them. Our students, too, have been pretty consistent, but our South Bend crowd was out there helping us, and we got 4 more home games, and man, we need them to finish this thing.
I got the sense that your team knew what they had to do in this game. After maybe a couple minutes kind of feeling their way through this, they got into a nice rhythm. The guy that stood out to me in the first half was J.J. Starling. Almost had a perfect shooting first half. He was kind of doing what he wanted to offensively. What'd you like from his first 20 minutes?
I think he's in we're in a process with him as he's learning how to play and learning how to, and he was very confident. And I think he was confident in his jump shot. He's not always been confident in his open jump shot. He's a beautiful stroke. And the shoulder has been part of that a little bit, but I think the shoulder's feeling better and his range of motion is better. And I just thought he played a complete game. He was rebounding again. When he rebounds, I think it helps him all over the place on the offensive end.
A name we didn't get to talk about much at NC State was Nate Leshesky because he had the foul trouble, only played 19 minutes in that game, looked a lot like himself in this one. I think he had 17 points on just 9 attempts. I think when he's at his best, he's getting you to double-figure points with less than double-figure shot attempts. That's when I know Nate Leshesky's impacting the game. What'd you like from him in this game?
He let the game come to him. Nate's so secure with who he is. He didn't play well at NC State, foul trouble, whatever. He comes back, he goes to work, he punches the clock, he does his stuff, and he's solid defensively. He rebounds, and then he can make a big 3. That 3 he made in front of our bench kind of finally told Louisville, okay, you're not coming back today. And somebody had to make one of those shots to say, okay, this run's over, and he made a big one.
Let's hit on Dane Goodwin real quick, because sometimes I just overlook him because he's a guy I've just gotten used to seeing in double figures. 10 straight games now, double figures, kind of back to the consistent Dane Goodwin we got accustomed to seeing last year. He's going to hit over 150 games, I think, next week for his career. Just his consistency has been amazing this year.
Yeah, I mean, we need him to score. We need him to shoot. I think he has been better at not turning down open jump shots or semi-open jump shots. Playing well, rebounding well. He's tough. He's a winner. He's a competitor. He just puts them on every day and gets ready to play.
Last guy I want to ask you about is Dom Campbell. He got some minutes in this game, 4 minutes, because unfortunately, as you mentioned, then went down in the practice the day before. So it gives Dom Campbell, a freshman, who's kind of been in and out when he's had some opportunities. I thought he gave you some really spirited minutes, got a basket in this game. What excites you about what Dom can do as he continues to get comfortable at this level?
I think Dom has a bright future at Notre Dame. And I want to make sure he sticks it out with the new coach and invests here, because I think he's going to start next year. Not that I'm making the new guys starting lineup up, don't get me wrong, but I think he's got a chance to start. But I want to get him in every game. Whether Ven's healthy or not, I want to get him in every game the rest of the way.
Let's talk about the locker room. Been a while since you guys got a win. I'm sure it felt good. What was it like to have that group back in there and say, guys, this is what it feels like. Let's feel this a little bit more.
Yeah, they deserve it. You know, it's a group of kids that works and they come in every day and they deserve to smile a little bit. And that's where I talk to them about, I'm looking at the ticker in the NBA, lost 8, won 8, lost 10, won 5, won 5, lost 10. You know, there's a lot, just swings are just crazy. And why not, you know, let's see if we can get this to start us to swing back. And we got a week to get some rest a little bit early in the week. And then we'll get back into practice segment, and then we play a very good Wake Forest team who can score on Saturday.
Coach, appreciate it. We'll step aside and come back with more on the Mike Brey Show right after this. Welcome back to the Mike Brey Show, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's edition of Irish Intel. Coach J.J. Starling had a great game against Louisville. He's going to get a 3 on this possession, but it's all because your guys hit the offensive glass and get a second chance.
One thing is, you know, Dane is always around that thing. Even J.J. got in there. But, you know, the one thing, he can shoot. Mm-hmm. He hasn't shot it as well as he's wanted to, and I think that shoulder has bothered him at times. But you see, there's no tape on it that day, and he's actually comfortable. The stroke is smooth. He's a beautiful stroke, and it's up higher because the shoulder's feeling better. So my job is to keep that shoulder feeling good so that stroke's smooth. I also thought he really defended and rebounded and gave us great energy.
Coach, we're going to talk about Dom Campbell getting a basket here. We're going to also litigate whether or not this is a pass or a shot from Cormac Ryan, but it was great to see Dom get in the game and get a basket for you guys.
Well, I want to get Dom in there the rest of the way. He's got a bright future here at Notre Dame, and, you know, Cormac, I think, saw him on this roll. That wasn't a foul or an air ball, was it? No, he kind of, and Cormac jumps to pass sometimes, and I get on him about it, but this time it worked out pretty good. I think he actually sees him rolling, and he is a big target. That's a tough shot to finish. But Dom gave us 5 good minutes, and we just want to get him in there and keep him healthy and let him keep getting experience, because I think he has a very bright future here at Notre Dame.
All right, Coach, we're going to talk about J.J. Starling again, because I think this is where he can be his most dynamic. In transition, kind of takes advantage of Louisville as they're getting back on defense.
You know, early offense for him and being able to drive and slice, good ball screen by Nate, and he does a fabulous job splitting it and finishing. He is, you know, he's our best guard finisher. He may be our best finisher overall. So we want him when he's got an opening to kind of go for it, and that's such a high skill level to be able to do that. Again, his overall demeanor and confidence was rolling, and it's neat to see. And I think it was because he was engaged on the defensive end and was defensive rebounding. When he's in there fighting for rebounds, it makes him more physical on the offensive end too.
Let me ask you this too, because I saw it from the high angle. This is where your team, I think, can be at its most dangerous, because you've got 4 shooters out there with JJ. There's nobody in the painted area here. Everybody that he can give the ball to here, whether it's Nate popping or these 3 other guys around the arc, is a threat to shoot, and that's what opens everything up, right?
We call that, we always say, fix the floor, which is get to those spots and space it. And you're right, usually we always have a threat out there, and so our spacing is pretty good, and we're able to get in there. But, you know, we've got great spacing by the 3 of them. Nate kind of steps back, and, you know, JJ, when he squares these shoulders with this strength, whew, I mean, that's just, you know, beautiful to watch.
So, Swan, I want to know, what was the first time you met Mike Brey? What was it like? What went through your head when you met Coach Brey for the first time?
First time I met him, it was in a team meeting, actually, I think, because, you know, over the summer, you know, Doherty had left, and then they brought him in. I was at his first press conference, sitting in the stands. It seemed like a mad, chill dude, man. We didn't know who he was necessarily. We got to know who he was pretty quickly.
How long did it take you to buy in then to him? You guys are a veteran group, but he was coming in, new guy. How long did it take?
Pretty much right away, because if you remember, at the time, we were getting thumped, like, very quick, like, very often in the Big East. And we felt like our junior year was going to be a really big year. We had some really good players, some really good talent. Who the coach was didn't really calculate or matter, really. We were just going to go out there and try to bust some people up. So coming into that season, we were ready to go.
To be under his tutelage is obviously a different kind of experience. So what's your favorite part about playing for Coach Brey?
Him. he actually really did care about you as an individual. We were used to, for those first 2 years in college, being grinded, like on a regular basis. Not necessarily by Coach McLeod. He was a little bit more of a talker and teacher. And then when Doherty came in, he got after you. Brey was a little bit more laid back. We were surprised the first practice. Like, we was like, we done after like 90 minutes? Actually, my wife now was my girlfriend in college. We'd practice at like 3, and I gave her a call at like 5. And I was like, yo, you want to grab some dinner at South Dining House? He's like, you done with practice? I was like, man, we've been done for like 30 minutes. But in that hour and 30 minutes, we played. He had a system. We knew what the system was. We competed, and we played hard. And if you did what you was asked to do, we got out of there quickly. So
You obviously have a special relationship with him too because you've worked for him. So I want to know what that transition was like, going from someone that played for him to someone that works alongside him in a different capacity. What was that transition like for you?
Oh, it was interesting. Being on the administrative side of anything at the school that you played at, there's some barriers there, right? But when a coach, this always used to been telling you where you need to be, how you need to be there, what you need to do, and being able to give him some input now on the other side was really interesting. He could operate as a head coach and do the things he needed to do on the court and didn't have to worry about anything off the court.
Let me ask you then about his legacy. 23 years at Notre Dame. I mean, 23 years at any place means you've had a lot of success. But when you think about Coach Brey, what he's meant to Notre Dame, what's going to come to mind when you look back on his career here?
Those 2 years of setting up the program to be what it needed to be for his 20 years here, I think was really important to me as a player. And I know for other former players like David and Maddie and Murph and Hump, that was important for setting the stage and his foundation as a head coach. His legacy should be really doing more with less than anybody ever has done in any coaching position anywhere. Taking something that people don't expect to be great and making it a really good program.
Swan, appreciate the time.
Anytime, man. Thank you.
Coach, unique week. Don't have a midweek game, so you've got some extra days to maybe get some guys healthy, work on some stuff that you want to get ready for the final month of the season. What will you guys focus on without a midweek game?
Tuesday, you can get into some skill work, but not a practice plan, and let some guys work on their games with the assistants. And then Wednesday, you get back into a full practice. And Wednesday, you probably got a scrimmage and really got a lot of 5-on-5 and get up and down and keep your conditioning up. Then Thursday and Friday, you start to turn to Wake Forest, and we know Wake is really explosive offensively.
Let's talk about Wake a little bit. And I remember going down to Winston-Salem last year. You'll get them twice this year. One of the more exciting games I remember watching.
Great game.
Great team coming here to South Bend. It's a chance to really start the second half of this conference season and keep the momentum going. What'll be the key against the Demon Deacons?
Well, they can really score. They're making 9 threes a game, and they're shooting it like us. And so getting out and whether we're in our zone or man, chasing guys off the arc. But I think we're going to have to score. And I think we can score. You know, when we get into a scoring rhythm and we have that at 40 at halftime, guys are feeling a little better. And so it could be a real fun one to watch. The ball is going to go into basket a lot, I think, on Saturday.
Coach, appreciate it. Looking forward to talking about it next week.
Thanks, Tony.
That does it for this week's edition of the Mike Brey Show, presented by TireRack.com.